My name is Andrew Fremier. I've been judging for now 3 years, and I am the executive director of the Metropolitan Transportation Commission in San Francisco, California.
So you're a multi-year judge. What keeps bringing you back to volunteer your time here?
Yeah, what brings me back every year, I think really is, first of all, I'm a geek for engineering projects. So I just really love to see how things get put together. Anytime I go anywhere, I'm always fascinated by sort of the construction activities that take place and what ends up being built. In fact, my kids get tired of driving around with me because of that fact. We've watched a lot of things get built. Secondarily, I just really enjoy the competition. The fact that you're in there kind of playing Shark Tank with your peers and having, I think, a very good dialogue about what's important about the projects, how they meet the criteria, and then, of course, the competitive nature of whittling out to the last person on the island, I think is fascinating. And I think third is probably just the pro bono aspect of giving back to the industry. I think it's very important for all of us that have been in the industry for a while to really consider the next generation, and then take some of the ideas that you see in these projects and try to apply them to your own environment.
You talked about the discussion inside the room. Can you elaborate a little bit on the background, the diversity of background of the judges, and how that plays into the discussion of when you really look under the hood of these projects?
Yeah, the diversity of the judges, I think, is another compelling reason to come back. You tend to get stovepiped in your own space a lot. And so I'm a civil engineer by trade, bridge engineer by heart, and now just an upper manager. But the idea of sort of interfacing with all the different disciplines in the field is fascinating, because you certainly see a different perspective. And frankly, it teaches you to speak to a broader audience, which I think is a skill set that's very important when you're describing projects to the average citizen. And so while it's all technical folks in the audience, I think they do teach you how to speak properly about a project so it's understandable, so it makes sense, and you can articulate what the benefits are and pass them on to the public. Sort of capacity building expertise.
The engineering solutions is a big component of what makes a winning project, but it seems like also impact on the community may be equally important. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. The projects that we're evaluating and the criteria we're evaluating has so much more in it than just the engineering components. And frankly, in my section in transportation, one of the first quick weeds that I do is really try to decide whether it's just a standard highway project or whether it's really got a connection to the community. Part of our new Infrastructure Requirements Act identify connectivity as an important element, and I think that's a place where we can actually help. We've got such a long history of dividing communities with our transportation projects and our other investments. The idea of really focusing in on getting community input and trying to make sure that your project actually provides more than just vehicle opportunities for folks. Many of these projects that we see are rehabilitation projects, and they're adding active transportation, they're adding community benefits. I just think that that's a real important evolution of our industry, is to recognize that there's an engineering solution, but then there's also an overall solution that really involves a much broader audience than just the folks driving their cars or moving the goods. You are in somebody's community, and I think you have a responsibility to make improvements that leave a good impression on that community and allow it to still survive in a very healthy way.
If there's a firm that's been thinking about submitting a project but hasn't yet, what would you say to them, whether it's a big project or a small one?
Yeah, I would say for firms that are thinking about applying for awards, first of all, size really isn't the overall character of what we're looking at. So small projects can compete well with large projects. I think the idea of really showcasing some of the unique solutions that come out of projects are so important for the industry. I refer to projects that we evaluate that are much broader than the ones I take a look at all the time for new and creative ideas. So one, I think it's incredibly important for morale for both your public or your owner as well as your own team and the varied teams that deliver these projects. So morale building is one, education is another, and just really celebration. I mean, all these projects are so hard, and it doesn't matter if it's a small fish passage project or a giant, interchange or a brand new superstructure. I mean, a brand new complex bridge. They just they have elements in them that are interesting, and frankly, getting back to what we were talking about earlier, just kind of traveling around the United States and seeing them just sort of out of the blue is just you got a connection to it. So I think it adds to the connectivity of the whole industry, and frankly, it is sharing all these different disciplines.